Hey guys, this is Illusion PODFIC, and today we're going to be reading The Right Substitution is Gay by Addicted Apple. This is Chapter 10. Jason still wasn't entirely sure how Alfred kept talking him into staying at the manor. He wasn't living there, obviously. But he was still at the manor more than he was at his safe houses. At first, he'd resolutely avoided his old room. Then he'd gone inside, seen everything was exactly the same, and promptly excused himself to vomit. Then he'd gone back again, and again. Before he knew it, he was settling into his room for a second time. It was strange and unnerving, and sometimes he thought about it too long and wanted to vomit all over again. Other days it felt natural and comfortable, like he'd never left. On those days, the absence of Bruce and Dick felt especially weighty. Soon he was shifting things around and changing the posters on the walls, and Alfred was bringing in new furniture to meet his new needs. Soon, it felt like his room again. This was wrong. How could he be making himself at home like this? He knew he'd have to leave again. Bruce was going to come back, and Jason would have to run. It was that, or get thrown into Blackgate. Even if everyone seemed okay with Red Hood now, Bruce wouldn't be. Jason knew that much for sure. But, well, Jason at least thought he'd get some warning before he had to clear out. He thought there would be a breakthrough in the case, and he'd have time to gather his things as they got closer to finding Bruce and Dick. He didn't think the missing vigilantes would just walk into the cave one evening like they never left. Jason and Tim had been fully decked out for patrol, ready to go when the real Batman and Nightwing had shown up. Jason and Tim traded shocked glances as they registered the new arrivals. It felt like a dream. Of course, the long-absent Bats were on the defensive as soon as they walked in. "Robin," the real Batman snapped at Tim. "Get away from him. That is an imposter." "No shit," Jason said on edge. "You disappeared for months. Robin asked me to fill in for you." "Who are you then?" Batman demanded. "I'm Red Hood," Jason said with a sneer. Tim shot him a sharp look. "He has been doing a lot of good work for the alley," Tim said. "He's proven himself trustworthy." "Trustworthy?" Batman repeated. "He's a criminal and a murderer." "Oh, stop. I'm blushing," Jason said. Jason took a breath, trying to calm down. He felt twitchy and ready to run, but Tim kept shooting him a beseeching look, so he tried to stay put. "Robin," Nightwing said, gesturing towards himself. "Get away from him." "No," Tim said. "I told you he's trustworthy. He's been looking after Gotham with me while you've been away. You should be thanking him." "Don't sweat it, Timbo," Jason said. "I didn't do it for a thank you. After all, I'm a great hero and shit." Batman and Nightwing looked pissed. Maybe Jason should get a better defense mechanism than casual assholery. "Tim," Batman growled. "You told Red Hood your name?" "I didn't," Tim said. "Baby Bird would never do something like that," Jason mocked. "I already knew all your identities, Bruce." "How?" Bruce demanded. Jason sneered again, gearing up to say something cutting, but Tim grabbed his arm, shooting him an imploring look. At Tim's urging, Jason tried to release some of his defensiveness. Maybe some part of him had wanted to make Bruce and Dick reject him before they found out his identity, and rejected him for real. But Jason supposed there was no use postponing this inevitable. Better to know that Bruce and Dick hated him so he could leave and never look back. Maybe he'd still be able to see the rest of the family after. Or maybe that was wishful thinking. It was Bruce's family after all. Jason had just been squatting in the vacant spot Bruce and Dick had left behind. "How do you know our identities?" Bruce demanded again when Jason took too long to answer. "I'll tell you how I know who you are," Jason said. Slowly, Jason reached up and pulled back the cowl of the batsuit. He watched as they took in his face with blank expressions. Tim's grip on his arm tightened with what could have been nerves or anticipation. Jason grit his teeth as he waited for his new life to unravel. "Well," Bruce said, "explain. How do you know?" "What?" Jason asked. "That's not an answer," Dick said, pulling out his Eskimo stick. Holy shit. They don't recognize him. They had no fucking idea who he was. Jason and Tim exchanged some truly baffled looks. Sure, Jason looked a little different, but not that different. He still very much had the face of the late Jason Todd. The fact that Batman and Nightwing weren't showing any The fact that Batman and Nightwing weren't even showing a spark of recognition was just... what? Look, Tim said placatingly, there's no need for weapons, alright? How about we move Red Hood over to the containment cell so we can have a calm conversation? Tim shot Jason a communicative look at the angle Batman and Nightwing couldn't observe. Jason understood. If it'll make everyone feel better to stick me in a cell, then fine, Jason lied. You'll let me out when you understand how much I've been helping. Oracle can vouch for me. Batman grunted and the four of them moved to the containment cells. Tim opened the cell door and stepped away so he could get out of Batman and Nightwing's direct line of sight. Jason moved forward like he was going to go inside. Then, without any need for communication, Jason body-checked Batman into the cell while Tim hooked a foot around Nightwing's ankle from behind and pushed him, making him fall into Batman. The newcomers tumbled into the cell and Tim slammed the door shut behind them. Robin, Batman growled, what are you doing? Honestly, Tim said, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I do know that you are not the real Batman and Nightwing. Batman froze up, but Nightwing looked hurt. What are you talking about, Timmy? Nightwing said. Of course we're the real deal. Tim just crossed his arms and raised an eyebrow at them. I wouldn't have been able to trip the real Nightwing that easily, and the real Batman would have already used his failsafe codes to get out of that cell. Jason nodded like he had any idea what was going on. That's crazy, Nightwing protested. Oh, give it up already, will you? Batman said, slouching on the floor. We've been made. Well, now we for sure have, Nightwing said, throwing his arms in the air with exasperation. Jason now understood why people were unnerved by him smirking in the Batsuit. Watching Batman and Nightwing act this petulant was just weird. What gave us away? Nightwing asked. I know we got the mannerisms right. We practiced and everything. We watched months of memories to make sure we were up to date. How'd you know we were fakes? Tim and Jason gave each other more looks. I think we'll keep that to ourselves, thanks, Jason said. Now, tell us who you are and why you're trying to impersonate Batman and Nightwing, Tim asked. In fact, how did you get here at all? What do you mean you've been watching memories? Do you know where the real Batman and Nightwing are? Did you? Jason put a hand up on Tim's shoulder. Kid, breathe, he said. They need time to answer. As if we'd answer any of your questions, fake Nightwing said. Yeah, fake Batman agreed. We ain't telling you stupid humans anything. So you're not human, Tim said. Fake Nightwing hit fake Batman upside the head. Idiot! I can't sense them being anything magical or supernatural, Jason said. So aliens, probably, Tim deduced. Fake Nightwing hit fake Batman again. Likely shapeshifter aliens of some kind, Jason said. Got anything like that in the database? Obviously Martians come to mind, but they're mostly extinct, Tim said. As if we could be anything like those disgusting Martians. Fake Batman said affronted. Tim made a search on his wrist computer. There's the Durlons, he said. This wouldn't be the first time they've tried to invade Earth. They impersonated the leaders of Cuba once. Fake Batman started before Nightwing slammed a hand over his mouth. Shut up, you moron! Tim scanned the file on his wrist computer before looking up sharply at the aliens. If you don't start talking, I'm bringing out the Cancelite. Jason had no idea what that threat meant, but even fake Nightwing seemed to lose his bravado. You can't, fake Batman begged. Please, I don't want to be stuck as a gross human forever. Yep, Tim said to Jason. I think it's pretty safe to say they're Durlons. What is Cancelite? Jason asked. It's an artificial chemical that locks the Durlon into their current form forever. Tim looked back at the aliens. So unless you want to be stuck like that, you better start talking. Where are the real Batman and Nightwing? We'll never tell you anything, fake Nightwing said. We'd never betray our brethren like that. So be it, Tim said, a downright terrifying look on his face as he reached for a shelf and picked up a bottle of fluorescent green liquid. No, please, fake Batman cracked. I'll tell you anything. Please don't use the Cancelite. Being stuck in one form is a fate worse than death. Don't you dare, fake Nightwing threatened, but fake Batman pushed him away. We have the real Batman and Nightwing, fake Batman said. The other ones too. They're on our ship. He was interrupted by fake Nightwing's yell of rage. The alien lunged for fake Batman and slammed his head against the wall, knocking him unconscious. It all happened too fast for Jason and Tim to intervene. You will get nothing more out of us, fake Nightwing hissed. Then he turned away from them and refused to respond to any more questions. Tim adjusted the settings in the cell so that it would no longer let sound in and out. Then they left the cell area. Shit, Jason sighed. It's alright, Tim said. At least we have a lead now. At least we know Bruce and Dick are captured and not dead. Tim took a swig from the bottle of green liquid he was holding. Hey! Jason protested, snatching the bottle. What? It's just Gatorade. Why would we store some random chemicals beside the holding cells? I know it's Gatorade, but we don't need you sugar crashing right now. Tim pouted. Whatever, Dad. Jason rolled his eyes and tried to focus. Alright, patrol is cancelled. We need to move on this now. We don't know if those fakes were supposed to get in touch with our command, so the aliens could figure out we're onto them any minute. Right, Tim agreed. That alien said that there were other ones on the ship with Batman and Nightwing. That means anyone could be a shapeshifter. Do we know if they imitate superpowers too? Jason asked, or just shapes? The database just said shapes, Tim replied, which could be why they went for Batman and Nightwing since they have no powers. Presumably, they also need a few months to download and process the memories from the people they're impersonating, Jason said. So has anyone else gone missing for a few months and turned up recently? Any heroes especially? We should get Babs in on this, Tim said. She'd be able to find out quicker than us. Yeah, but are you sure she's not an alien too? I don't think so, Tim replied. She hasn't disappeared at all, and she knew who you were right away. I think we can say Alfred, Steph, and Cass are safe too. It seems like the aliens' research didn't go far back enough to cover much of you. Or they didn't cover you much since you're supposed to be dead. Your identity is probably a really good litmus test to check if someone is an alien. What? So you want me to call a meeting with the Justice League and flash it on my face to see who doesn't freak out? Tim shrugged. It'll be the quickest way to spot fakes before we try to counter whatever invasion is coming our way. Jason groaned. Fine, but not everyone is going to know who I am at a glance. I'll start with the ones who would definitely remember me. Then we can use Wonder Woman's lasso to rule out the rest. Agreed. You call a mini Justice League meeting, and I'll fill in Alfred and the other bats. Jason froze halfway through his nod. Oh my god. They were actual sort of pod people. Tim groaned as he caught onto Jason's train of thought. Steph is going to be so smug about this. Yep. Alright guys, and that's the end of chapter 10 of The Right Substitution is Key by Addicted Apple. If you guys liked it, in the next chapter.